Decimal numbers fall into three categories. There are terminating decimals, which stop after a finite number of decimal places, and then after that it's just all zeros. There's repeating decimals that go on forever but have a pattern. It's the same numbers repeating over and over and over again. And then there are irrational numbers, which are non-terminating and non-repeating. Terminating decimals are the simplest ones to convert between decimals and fractions because all you need to do is look at the final digit. So the decimals we use in applications tend to be terminating decimals, which means that the decimals stop or terminates on the right-hand side. So 17 3/10, 52 10,000ths, 1 and 43 hundredths are all terminating decimals. In a terminating decimal, we count how many digits there are in the decimal because there are a finite number. And we can ignore all the zeros after. If there's zeros after that, we can ignore all the zeros after that. But finite indicates that there are a certain number of digits. It is the opposite of infinite. A fraction written in simplest form can be written as a terminating decimal if and only if the prime factorization of the denominator contains no primes other than 2 or 5. That means that your denominator cannot be divided by anything other than 2 or 5. So if your denominator can only be divided by 2 or 5, then it's going to be a terminating decimal. If it can be divided by something else evenly, then it's not a terminating decimal. So there are two common ways to write a fraction as a decimal. One is to write the equivalent fraction with the denominator written as a power of 10, and the second is just by long division. So say I want to rewrite 1/4 as a decimal. I would want to rewrite that 4 as a power of 10, so let's multiply by 25 top and bottom. I end up with 25 hundredths. So 25 hundredths. Another way is to use, divide the numerator by the denominator. So 4 goes into 1 25 hundredths of a time. So 1/4 is equal to 25 hundredths. So let's determine whether each fraction can be written as a terminating decimal. And if so, let's write that terminating decimal. So 8 is made up of 2 times 2 times 2. So it's made up of 2's. That means it is a terminating decimal. So terminating is if your denominator is only made up of 2's and 5's. That's true here. So I can go 3 divided by 8. Add some zeros there. 8 does not go into 3, but 8 goes into 30 3 times. 8 goes into 67 times. And then 8 goes into 45 times. So 3/8 is the same thing as 375 thousandths. 6, on the other hand, is really 2 times 3. So 6 is divisible by 3. That means this is not terminating. All right, let's go the other way. Let's rewrite each of these as a fraction. And what we can do is just read it out. 35 hundredths. My last decimal place place value is in the hundredths place, so I can think of this as 35 hundredths. And if you want to reduce, I can divide by 5. Divide by 5. I'll get 7 over 20. Here is into thousands. That's the 10,000th place. So this is 214 over 10,000. Let's see here. If I divide by 2, let's see if I divide by 2, this would be 107 on top and 5,000 on the bottom. And if I want to rewrite each of these as a mixed number or in a proper fraction, 1, again, look at the place value. The final digit is in the thousandths place, so I can put this in the thousands place. 1,358 over 1,000, or I can write this as 1 and 358 over 1,000. You can simplify from there. Here, the last digit's in the tenths place, so my denominator is going to be 10. I can write this as 123 tenths, I can write this as 12 3/10.